Hello everyone, welcome back to another Limitless video. Today, this is the video that I've been kind of talking about, hyping up for a lot on my channel. We are going to be ranking my favorite movie from every year that I've been alive. There's going to be a big assortment of movies here. There is going to be a little bit of a common theme you guys will notice, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. But if you guys want to see more videos like this, please subscribe, letting me know what videos you guys want to see like this next. I'm still kind of watching through a lot of different series, and when I finish those, I'm going to be ranking them, but until I can't rank them until I finish them, because that would kind of be weird. So, I'm not going to give off exactly what I have planned yet, but without further adu, let's get this video started. And my favorite movie from 2002 is the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1. As a kid, I remember watching this movie a lot. Now, obviously, I didn't see this movie the year I was born, but in terms of, like, the years that I was born, I was born in 2002, it was a really good movie. It was a good way to really start the new superhero era. They did have X-Men movies before those, but this was, like, a really recognizable character. As you guys know, Spider-Man's probably one of the most recognizable superheroes, I'd say, out of everyone, besides, like, Batman or something like that. I love the villain, you know, I love Harry Osborn, I love all those characters that come into play here. I love how they set up future plot lines, you know, with Harry Osborn and Spider-Man and him killing his father. I just think it makes for some really great plot lines to come later on in, like, Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3. Unpopular opinion, kind of going into this a little bit, I do kind of like Spider-Man 3. I know a lot of you don't. I know it's very uncommon for people to like this movie. Don't get me wrong, Spider-Man 2 is, you know, definitely the best one, but in terms of just those movies, I really enjoyed this one. It definitely seems the more original. A lot of the shots in this movie are still being held up to this day, so that's why it comes in as my favorite movie of 2002. And my favorite movie of 2003 is Finding Nemo. This has to be one of my favorite Pixar movies. After, you know, seeing all these different things of toys come to life and monsters coming out of the closet, we get to see a tale of Marlin and his son, or Marley and Dory, going on a journey to find his son. I like the two different sides of the plot where you have Nemo in the tank I forget some of their names, man. I'm gonna get killed. But I love a lot of, like, the maturing that Nemo has to do. You know, he has to learn not to care about himself and be willing to risk himself in order to get out of the tank. I also love the part when you know, all the fish overtake the people fishing in the sea, and they all have to, like, break them out. I don't know. I really like that part. A lot of the humor in this movie is really good too. You know, you have the sharks. You have I'm not sure what the exact fish is called, but it's the fish that has the little light bulb, and it, like, uses it to catch its prey. Comment down below what that fish is called, because I'm kind of interested in what that fish is called. I have no clue what it is called. But yeah, I remember enjoying going to see this when I was really little, and it's also very family friendly. And I think it's a overall great movie, and it's probably why they made a sequel after it. So that's why it comes in at our number 2003 favorite movie. And as our favorite 2004 movie, we have National Treasure. The first time I saw this movie, I think I was in one of my elementary school history classes. We watched this movie. I think it was, like, one of those end of the year movie kind of things. And I absolutely loved this movie. I love the idea that there's still all these different artifacts, and that they have different meanings to them, and the lemon juice that they have on the Declaration of Independence. And I love the whole cast here too, by the way, that, you know, they really worked well. They had great chemistry with each other. You know, it's kind of like the MacGuffin. You know, there's this one object that everyone wants to get to, and then when they finally do get to it, they have to work together in order to, you know, safely get out. It just makes for some really fun experiences. I love a lot of the jokes that go on in this movie, and a lot of the little, like, oh, you know, I didn't know that was going to happen, like when they have the Declaration of Independence, he thinks it's from the gift shop. Just a lot of that stuff makes for some really funny moments, and that's why it comes in as my favorite 2004 movie. And at my favorite 2005 movie, we have DreamWorks' Madagascar. I absolutely love this movie. I love Alex the Lion. You have Chris Rock as the zebra. Just Melman, Gloria. I love all of them. I even love the penguins and the lemurs and King Julian. Um, and not only do I love this movie, but I love all the different spin-offs that they've made of like on Nickelodeon. I just think it's a great idea. I love, the story of Alex isn't, he's tired of being in New York. He wants to adventure. He's tired of being in the zoo. He wants to be something. I just love that whole idea. I love that this is kind of like step one in all three of the movies, because in step two they go to Africa, and then step three go to Europe, and even in Europe they finally get to come here. But Madagascar 1 was just a really good bar setter. It was really hard for them to really match what the first one did. I remember, I think, going to see this in theaters. Like 3 years old, I think I went. I don't remember much of it, but I think I maybe do remember. But besides that, I think a lot of like what made this movie so good was just their perspective. We didn't really. A lot of the movies that we see nowadays are like cute and cuddly animals, and don't get me wrong, they are. But this movie was like, oh, we got to catch these animals, we got to get them back, and da 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 da. When like in the other movies it's always like, oh, the animals and the humans team up. And I don't know, I really like this movie just for the diversity that it is, going to Madagascar, getting shipped in shipping containers, and it just made for some really great storytelling and character bonding moments. So that's why it comes in as my favorite 2005 movie. And at my favorite 2006 movie, we have Cars. Oh my gosh, I love this movie so much. However, I'm not as big as a fan as the sequel. I'm okay with the third one, but Cars was amazing. There's so many adult references in this movie that I didn't get as a kid, and rewatching this as almost an adult here, I understood a lot of these references. The one reference that always comes to mind is the scene with the Lightning McQueen super fans, and they have their lights on. And I'm not gonna say what the joke is, but you guys can already, if you guys go back to that movie, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I think it's hilarious. I love the story with Doc, and him trying to teach Lightning McQueen wow, can't talk. To just try and be humble. I love that they become his new team that he races with. And I love all like the different moments he has with Sally, and just the different crew. They're all great. There's not one of them that I hate. I love Luigi, and just all the different people. And then you have the villains. I can never remember the green car's name. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get killed on the internet here. But yeah, I love them, and I love Dinoco. He's a great friend, and I love him pushing him towards the end, remembering Doc and what happened when he couldn't finish his last race. So it just makes for some really great storytelling, and it's definitely a great movie for kids and the whole family to watch. So that's why it comes in at our number 2000. My favorite 2006 movie. And my favorite 2007 movie is Bridge to Terabithia. It's definitely a different change of pace than what I'm used to, but this movie had so many heartfelt moments. Of course, you have the part with Leslie, dying in the river. And I love the little magical aspect, how his real life, connects to what's going on here. The mean girl at school is actually the giant who just wants to be accepted and loved. Josh Hutcher's does a great job here. As the main character, as I think Leslie is also a main character, but she seems more like a side character to me. Things are often told from Josh's point of view. I love the things that he has to go through in this movie to kind of like grow up, with his dad being the shadowy figure in Terabithia that he imagines. The tree house that they built, I think, going on the field trip with his art teacher, I think it is, or his music teacher, I think it's his music teacher. And then, that's when Leslie dies, and he feels really bad about it, and he hates his teacher. It's just a great overall, coming of age, and realizing, that sometimes things don't last forever, and how to deal with loss. And I just think it's a really great movie for, families that ever have to go through that. I remember, I think, crying so many times over this movie. It was just a really great family movie, but definitely has some sad moments too. So that's why it comes in as my favorite 2007 movie. And at my favorite 2008 movie, I have The Dark Knight. This was very hard for me to choose because, Iron Man came out this very same year. And so I'm kind of contemplating, whether The Dark Knight or Iron Man. And I had to go in terms of my favorite movie experience, and I have to put Dark Knight over it. Iron Man was a great start to the MCU and definitely led to some better moments along the way. But to start off, Dark Knight definitely takes the cake. You have Christian Bale as Batman, Heath Ledger as Joker, Tom Hardy as Bane. I absolutely love this cast. They couldn't have picked a better cast for these roles. I love a lot of the action that goes on. We get to see a little bit, with the Batmobile and I think the Bat bike is in this movie as well. Heath Ledger does an amazing job as Joker, as many of you have heard. But this movie just really, I feel like, captured who Batman was, who the Joker was for sure. And I also like seeing a lot of the different side characters like Bane and Two-Face, and even I think we had Scarecrow in this movie. And I think Catwoman was in this movie. It was just so many different characters in this movie, rather than nowadays when there's like a Batman movie, it's just like one villain, and this was kind of like the whole Batman universe. And I think that was just I really appreciated that for a new Batman movie. So that's why it comes in as my favorite 2008 movie. And as my favorite 2009 movie, I've got to give it to Up here. This might be controversial, but this has to be like my favorite Pixar movie. The first 15 or 10 minutes of this movie makes me bawl every single time. I remember going to see this movie in theaters for the first time. I don't think I'd ever cried at a movie before. As a kid, you still didn't understand everything that was going on, but I understood enough that it, definitely gave me some tears in my eyes. I love Russell, Doug, Kevin, Carl Fredricksen, even the villain, Charles Muntz. They're all great. They couldn't have chosen a better villain also because, Carl was all about, adventure is out there. And then you have Charles Muntz here, who did follow what he was going to do, but then on his way lost himself and kind of started going after things that maybe weren't the best. And then I love Russell, he sees Carl as almost like a father figure. And, I love that little moment at the end where Carl gets to give him the pin, the grape soda pin. It really does make for some great character development and for some touching moments between all the different characters. I would love to see a sequel to this movie, but I don't know if they should do that because there really wouldn't be too much to go on, but maybe it'll happen one day. So that's why it comes in as my favorite 2009 movie. And for my favorite movie of 2010, I'm gonna have to give it to Inception here. As many of you know, I already love sci-fi movies as it is. This movie came very close to me for Tron Legacy and for Grown Ups. As much as I love sci-fi, I do also like my comedy movies, but besides that, this movie, it definitely changed the way that movies were going to be made in terms of sci-fi and what could be done. They took an idea as simple as, let's go inside of each other's dreams, and managed to turn it into this time ticking, I love the whole sequence where, the van dropping, and then you have the hotel, and he's trying to make sure that there's enough momentum to, wake them out of their sleep, and then, like, the snow there. And there's just so many great moments in that it's hard not to be appreciated. I love Tom Hardy and his supporting role in this. You have Leonardo DiCaprio, and they all just do a great job. I love the whole little, it's not really a side plotline, it's probably the biggest plotline of this whole movie, of Leonardo and his wife, and his kids, and trying to get back to them. And I just love how, Leonardo, he kind of almost sacrifices himself at the end so that everyone can get out. And it just makes for some really awesome shots in this movie. There's so many great shots in this movie, but one of the best things I think about this movie is just the dialogue, because everything is so, the dialogue in this movie is so intricately set up so that it has a huge payoff later in the movie. And for that reason, that's why it comes in at as my favorite 2010 movie. And as my favorite movie of 2011, we have Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the last part 2. I absolutely love this movie. Of course, you have Daniel Radcliffe and Emma. Oh my gosh, you guys are gonna kill me. Okay, Hermione Granger and Ron Weasley. We have all of those great characters. Of course, Voldemort dies in this movie. I love the hero redemption of Neville. Neville in the series has always kind of been shown as like the weak link, and in this movie he really gets to shine. He kills Nagini, I think is her name, is Voldemort's snake, and they have to go to continue and kill the rest of the Horcruxes. I love how they stray away from Hogwarts in this part and the first part, but in the first part it was kind of a little slow too for my pace. But in this movie they dive right into the action. That I think they go to Gringotts. They go everywhere. They go absolutely everywhere in this movie. Harry Potter dies, but he doesn't really die. He comes back. I love seeing all Harry Potter has his own family. You have Ron Weasley's mom and Hagrid really stepping up to defend Harry and just not let Voldemort take them over. And I think it was just a great conclusion to the Harry Potter series in terms of the films and everything. So that's why it comes in as my favorite 2011 movie. And my favorite 2012 movie is Marvel's The Avengers. My word, I absolutely love this movie. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner, Mark Ruffalo, the whole cast, they're here. Man, this movie, it was such a huge breakthrough for superhero movies at its time. There weren't a lot of movies like it, and if they were usually animated movies or not up to the CGI and such that this movie was up to. It had a great plot with Loki, trying to bring down Thanos' army to attack New York and make him king. I love the parts of the team trying to come together. And with Cap, this was his first New Age movie. I love seeing him react to the new world in front of him, being a soldier who was only from World War II. It was just great to see all these characters interact. I like seeing Jeremy Renner and Black Widow really have the end for the whole movie. Black Widow was in, of course, Iron Man 2 and everything, but it was just nice to see her come back in this movie and really have her own position. Seeing Hawkeye really, get mind controlled in this movie was a very surprising thing, because in the trailers there was no shot, side of this at all. And a lot of the shots in this movie, for example, the one that always comes to mind, you have, Bruce Banner, he comes in on the motorcycle, Cap tells him, to get angry, and he goes, Cap, that's my secret, I'm always angry, just turns into Hulk in a matter of seconds, takes his fist and just dives the one of Thanos' creature things, I'm not sure exactly what they're called, right into the ground, makes him fall over. Iron Man shoots it, and it was one of my favorite shots. And of course you have the cinematic of them turning around and everything, and it just was such a great movie that it definitely has to come in as my favorite 2012 movie. And coming in as my favorite 2013 movie, this was very hard for me to pick between Frozen and World War Z, but I'm going to have to hand it to World War Z here. I absolutely love this movie. I've caught myself many times going back to this movie just to watch all the action sequences, with them in India, the one in Philadelphia. One of my favorite ones is when they're in the rain on the bikes and his cell phone goes off and the zombies are coming back at them. It was just, all of it was so good. And one of my common problems with movies, like zombie movies nowadays, is that they'll have this little action sequence and then they'll talk, have all this dialogue, and don't get me wrong, the dialogue is important. But this movie, it really just jumped right to the point, this is the problem, maybe this is a solution, and I love the pace of this movie because it was so evenly paced out that it kept my interest the whole way through. And I love all the different panic, they go to the grocery store and they're everyone's stealing from the store, and even you see the one cop, start getting stuff for his own family, and that just kind of showed the scale of things. No one cares, not even, officers of the law at this point. They do not care. They're just trying to survive. This movie reminds me a lot of The Last of Us as well, in just terms of how serious it is. And the end of this movie was kind of, well, not kind of, it really was good. With them, having to group up the zombies and destroy them. It just made for some really great, wow, this is a huge perspective of things. So that's why it comes in as my favorite 2013 movie. And coming in as my favorite 2014 movie, we have Guardians of the Galaxy. I absolutely love this movie. To start off, we have an amazing cast. We have Chris Pratt, Bradley Cooper as Rocket, Vin Diesel as Groot. There's so many different aspects of this movie that I'm hoping are going to play into some future MCU movies. If you guys have already watched this far, you're already going to start to notice that there's a very common theme in that 5 of my favorite movies from the years that I've been alive have been MCU films, and that's just because of the huge aspect of story that they're telling, and I absolutely love it. Okay, but like getting back into this movie, the villain for this movie, now a lot of people were like, might have liked him. I wasn't crazy about him. I was more interested in that we got to see Thanos in this movie for like the first time, like, talking in dialogue, and that's really what I was interested. I was also interested more to see how the team came together, seeing as like Gamora and Star-Lord did not really get along to start off this movie, but once they went to the prison together, they started to kind of work as a team, just kind of for the sole purpose of getting the Power Stone and the orb, but it still ends up bringing them together. But this movie had a lot of great, like, really sad moments too, especially when Groot kind of sacrifices himself to make sure the team's safe and everything. It's definitely a great movie for kids, even though there are a lot of adult jokes in this movie. It definitely goes on record for one of my favorite space and MCU films. So that's why it comes in as my favorite 2014 movie. And coming in as my favorite 2015 movie, we have Disney Pixar's Inside Out. When this movie first came out, I was kind of skeptical. I was like, how are they really going to turn having emotions into a whole movie? It might work for some comedy bits or something like that, but how can they make a whole story out of it, and let alone have all these different locations? Because that was like the biggest thing, is like, where are they really going to go? But they totally surprised me. They go into her mind, they go into like her childhood friends like Bing Bong, and having the whole thing of like, she has these, big, I think they're called core memories. And then you have this whole idea of, all of her life she's always tried to be happy, but then, sadness comes in, and she realized that, it's okay to be sad, because sometimes you need to be sad in order to feel happiness again. And then I love the whole idea towards the end of this movie, where beforehand, all the core memories were all yellow and they were so happy and everything. There was no sign. But now all the other core memories are sad and happy or disgust and fear. They're all mixed up with her different emotions, and I absolutely love that, because it's a real take on how we mature as we get older, and how our emotions change, and how it predicts who we are. I love the whole idea of the islands, the different islands. She has Family Island and Hockey Island and Friends Island, Best Friends Island, and I think it all just makes for some really great understanding for little kids to kind of comprehend what's going to happen when they get older, and it definitely is a great family movie. So that's why it comes in as my favorite 2015 movie. And for my favorite 2016 movie, I have put Captain America Civil War. This movie was, without a doubt, probably one of the easiest to pick, because it introduces Black Panther, Spider-Man. We have the plot line of Bucky coming back, where he's kind of brainwashed, but not as much anymore. We have the little segment where Zemo comes in and kind of brainwashes him, and Zemo's a great villain in this movie. I'm already rambling because there's so much to talk about in this movie. There's like, you have a little breath of fresh air in this movie, but then it cuts right back into the action. We have Sam Wilson finally stepping up in a big superhero film, because he wasn't in Age of Ultron much, but he was in Winter Soldier. But now he has his big name. He's officially part of the Avengers team. It's kind of like Avengers 2.5, because you don't have Hulk and Thor, because they're in Thor Ragnarok and everything. But everything else, the story, whether we should follow the government's restrictions to kind of like help make sure people don't get hurt during these battles, or if we should go on Cap's side, what if they won't let us go out and we need to. It was really diverse, and I personally went with Captain America's side, but I know many people didn't. I know many people went to Iron Man's side and vice versa. It just made for some really conflicting ideologies for coming out of the theater. I love when I can come out of a theater and still be talking about the movie, oh, this is why this was right, this was why this was right, and it was just absolutely a blast to watch on screen with me and all of my friends. So that's why it comes in as my favorite 2016 movie. And as we come into our final three movies, drop your list down below so I can kind of, understand where you're coming from, and see what movies that you included that maybe I didn't. And, you might have different movies considering, when you had been born. I'd definitely love to see everyone's movies. We can have a nice lively discussion down in the comment section below. Also check up here for my MCU ranking and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ranking videos if you guys want to see more ranking videos like this. And with that said, we'll get into our final three movies. And for my favorite 2017 movie, I have It. I remember when I first went to go see this movie, I, like a lot of people, had never seen the original. I had no clue what it was. All I knew that it was about some clown, and I've seen horror movies before with clowns and everything, and I thought it was just going to be that. I was totally surprised by the amount of story and plot that went into this movie, with all these different characters and their subplot, and I just think it makes for some so great storytelling. You have Pennywise coming in and terrorizing these kids, knowing each of their individual fears. It just makes for some awesome horror scenes as well. Whether you have the library scene with the lady chasing, I can't forget it. I always forget the kid's name. You guys are gonna hate me for that, by the way. I'm really bad with names in movies. That's okay. But besides that, a lot of the characters are also like really diverse too. They kind of remind me of the Stranger Things cast, in a way, in like the sense of that they're like the little town, and they have like some big huge villain that comes, and they all have to team up together. And I loved all those little moments. I also love just the different like backgrounds that they come from, and they're all trying to fight for a common cause just to get Pennywise out of their town. So that's why it comes in as my favorite 2017 movie. And coming in as my favorite 2018 movie, I have Avengers: Infinity War. Of course, what other movie could I possibly have in this place? Oh my gosh, I have so many memories with this movie. I remember actually getting off of school with my one best friend, and we were so amped up, we went out to eat, and then we drove right to this. It was such a huge experience for me, because I hadn't been through the MCU, like when Avengers first came out. I wasn't like huge into the MCU, but this was like my first like big event that I was gonna get to see. You saw the trailers with Thanos and hitting Iron Man and destroying these other characters like Doctor Strange, and it was like, wow, that had never been done before. And it totally did not disappoint. It lived up to every expectation that I had, even leaving me with, are we gonna get a second movie? And of course we knew that, but like, what could really top it? Because you had everyone, getting snapped away, and Thanos finally being able to rest. It just made for some great, awesome, emotional moments for sure, with, losing the team, and losing even some permanent people like Gamora and Vision. Later did we know, what happened in Avengers Endgame. But I just absolutely love this movie, and I love that this was kind of like Thanos' movie. This was, his time to take control, going around taking the different Infinity Stones, and I love seeing the different capabilities of each Infinity Stone. He would show its power in each single fight after he received it, and I just thought that was a great way to show off, what the Infinity Stones could do. So that's why it comes in as my favorite 2018 movie. And as my favorite 2019 movie, we of course have Avengers Endgame. I couldn't have imagined the end to the Infinity Saga in any other better way than what this movie did. A lot of people I know aren't the biggest fans of this movie, and I understand that, but the reason I love this movie so much is because it's not about the action. It's about what these characters went through, losing, how they tried to deal with this, over the past 5 years, thinking that because every time they've been beaten, they think that they can just go back, finish what they started, and not give up. But this wasn't the case this time. They really did have to suffer through 5 years of, oh my gosh, we have no escape route. We have to live with what happened. And I absolutely love that. It definitely brought some tears to my eyes. Of course, you have Black Widow sacrificing herself for the team so that Hawkeye can get the Soul Stone, and then you have, of course, Iron Man, sacrificing himself for the whole universe just to ensure that Thanos does not get these stones. It was so great to see all these characters coming together, because of course in Infinity War we didn't have Ant-Man, we didn't have some of the characters that we had in this movie, like Hawkeye. I love all of the shots in this movie. For example, one shot that's not very often talked about is the shot where Hawkeye's running through the tunnels away from the one of Thanos' army henchmen. I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. Of course, you have the scene with Avengers Assemble, the iconic comic book line. I absolutely loved it. So that is why it comes in as my favorite 2019 movie. So if you guys enjoyed this ranking video, please leave a like below and comment down below what your favorite movie is from each year that you guys have been alive. I know I have different age ranges down here, and some of you might have movies that maybe I wasn't even alive for. But I would definitely love to know your guys' rankings. Just remember that this might not be the right list, it's just my list, so please be respectful in the comments below with your list and other people's lists. And with that said, I will see you guys in the next video. Alright, bye guys.